Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 6, Text number 6. Athaivam akhila loka pala lalamopi Vilakshanair jadavat avadhuta vesha bhasha charitaihi Avilakshita bhagavat prabhavo Yoginam samparaya vidhim anushikshayan Svakalevaram jihasuhu Atmanyatmanam asamvyavahitam Anarthantara bhavenan vikshamana Uparathanuvrittir upararama. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Rishabhadeva was the head of all kings and emperors within this universe. But assuming the dress and language of an avadhuta, he acted as if dull and materially bound. Consequently, no one could observe his divine opulence. He adopted this behavior just to teach yogis how to give up the body. Nonetheless, he maintained his original position as a plenary expansion of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna. Remaining always in that state, he gave up his pastimes as Lord Rishabhadeva within the material world. If following in the footsteps of Lord Rishabhadeva, one can give up his subtle body, there is no chance of that. There is no chance that one will accept a material body again. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma Naiti mameti sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. This is possible simply by keeping oneself an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. One must understand his constitutional position and the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord as well. Both have the same spiritual identity. Maintaining oneself as a servant of the Supreme Lord, one should avoid rebirth in this material world. If one keeps himself spiritually fit and thinks of himself as an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, he'll be successful at the time he has to give up the material body. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. This is another beautiful verse from this chapter, the activities of Lord Rishabhadeva, spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. Last few verses we saw, Shukadeva Goswami was telling about how we should be careful about the mind, controlling the mind, and never make friendship with the mind, never trust the mind. Be always careful about, because mind is flickering, mind can drag the senses away and pull the consciousness to a material plane. After having said that, now Shukadeva Goswami is continuing about the activities of Rishabhadeva. So he begins by saying, Athaivam Akhila Lokapala Lalama Api. Akhila Lokapala. In this material world, there are many caretakers, many kings, many emperors who take care of the Akhila Lokapala. They are Lokapala. And there are so many of them all over the universe. But he is Lalama. He is the head, or he is the eminent. He is the chief among all of them. That is Rishabhadeva's position. So, even as a king, he was an emperor. He was a very powerful emperor. And he is Lord himself in an incarnation. And so, he was able to command the submission of so many other kings and monarchs. So he is described as Akhila Lokapala Lalama Api. Although he was the head of all the emperors and head of all the monarchs and kings, Vilakshanaihi Jadavat Avadhuta Vesha Bhasha Charitaihi. He was Jadavat. Jada means matter, inert. He was inert. Listen other words. Sometimes, if someone doesn't understand, say, what a nut you are. You say like that, right? You are so, you can't understand this. Jadavat, you're so stupid. Jadavat, Prabhupada has translated that as if stupid. He's not stupid, but as if stupid. Jadavat. Vat means as if stupid. And avadhuta vesha bhasha charitaihi. His vesha, dress, bhasha, language, charitaihi, activities, characteristics, they were like avadhuta. Vilakshanaihi jadavat avadhuta vesha bhasha charitaihi. Because he was jadavat, avilakshita bhagavat prabhavaha. He had the opulences of Bhagavan, bhagavat prabhavaha. He had the potency and all the powers of Bhagavan, but avilakshita, not seen, hidden. Avilakshita bhagavat prabhavaha. Why did he do all this? Akhila lokapala lalamo api. Jadavat, like a stupid person. Avadhuta vesha bhasha charitaihi. He appeared like that, hiding his bhagavat prabhavaha. Why did he do all this? Yoginam samparaya vidhim anushikshayan. Anushikshayan, in order to teach. What did he want to teach? Samparaya vidhim. Samparaya vidhim. Paraya means to cross over, to go to the other side. Paraya. Parayati means to cross over. Paraya. Samparaya. Samparaya. Samparaya vidhim. Completely cross over. Vidhim. There is a method. There is a process. Anushikshayan. He wanted to teach how to cross over the ocean of material existence. To whom? Yoginam. Yoginam samparaya vidhim anushikshayan. He did all this in order to teach the yogis how to cross over this material existence. And so what did he do? Swakalevaram jihasu. This is about the end of Rishabhadeva's pastimes, where he gave up his Swakalevaram, Kalevaram, one's body, Swakalevaram jihasu. He gave up this body. And although externally he gave up this body, what was happening to him internally? Atmani atmanam asamvyavahitam. Atmanyatmanam asamvyavahitam. Vyavahitam means interrupted, obstructed. Asamvyavahitam. He was not interrupted, he was not affected, he was not obstructed. Atmani atmanam. In his internal understanding about himself as the Supreme Lord. In Rishabhadeva's case, he is the Supreme Lord. And that's why Prabhupada translates Atmani Atmanam Asamvyavahitam. Here, he maintained his original position as a plenary expansion of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, remaining always in that state. So, he was not in his internal understanding, he was not obstructed. Asamvyavahitam. He was not obstructed, he was not asamvyavahitam, without intervention by the illusory energy. We will talk about this in the case of a yogi. We'll talk about this in our case. What happens in a short while. Asamvyavahitam. Anartha antara bhavena anvikshamanaha. He was always seeing internally antara bhavena anartha. Himself in the status of Vishnu. Antara bhava. He and Vishnu, there's no difference. Antara bhava anartha. Without any such a vision. Anvikshamanaha. So this is Rishabhadeva. He is the Lord himself. So he saw that he was not different. So remaining always in that state, he maintained his original position as a plenary expansion of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna. Remaining always in that state, he gave up his pastimes as Lord Rishabhadeva within the material world. So, anartantara bhavena anvikshamanaha uparata anuvrittihi. Uparata means dying, passing away. Anuvrittihi means semblance of passing away. He did not pass away. He is the Lord. He is eternal. So, uparata anuvrittihi, who was acting as if giving up his material body, upararama, he ended his pastimes as Rishabhadeva. Now you see, Lord Rishabhadeva was the head of all kings and emperors within the universe. Athaivam akhila lokapala lalamaha api. But assuming the dress and language of an avaduta, vilakshanaihi jadavat avaduta vesha bhasha charitaihi. He acted as if dull and materially bound, jadavat. Consequently, no one could observe his divine opulence, avilakshita bhagavat prabhavaha. He adopted this behavior just to teach yogis. Anushikshayan, yoginam anushikshayan. To teach yogis how to give up the body. Samparaya vidhim anushikshayan. Nonetheless, He maintained his original position as a plenary expansion of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna. Atmanyatmanam asamvyavahitam anarthantara bhavena anvikshamana. He gave up his pastimes as Lord Rishabhadeva within the material world, Upararama. If following in the footsteps of Lord Rishabhadeva, one can give up his subtle body, there is no chance that one will accept a material body again. So, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. Krishna's words from the 4th chapter of the Gita. So, we must see how Krishna and Arjuna were contemporaries, and they were cousins, and they were friendly. They had a friendly relation. So that's how they were relating. That's how the Leela of the Lord was. Right? And so, when Pandavas had to make a decision about Krishna and his army, Duryodhana was very eager to get the army on his side because there's a battle, war going on. And I must have all the power of Krishna, his powerful army. So Duryodhana grabbed that because Krishna offered. He said, I will not fight, but my army is available for you. You can, whoever wants, you can take the army on one side and I'll be on the other side. You can choose between me and my army, both of you. And Duryodhana thought it was very prudent and very smart of him that he chose the army because it's a war and Krishna's powerful army he should have. Pandavas, being devotees, they thought differently. Let's have Krishna. You see how devotees think? They were very happy to have the association of Krishna. Let's have Krishna with us. And so Krishna said, all right, I'll be with you all, but I will not fight. However, I can do one thing. I can become your charioteer. And Arjuna said, Krishna, you become my charioteer. And so he said, okay, I'll be your charioteer. So he became Parthasarathi. And we know how the conch shells were blown. The war was about to begin. At that time, Arjuna said, let's go. Krishna, take the chariot in the middle. He's giving him orders. And Krishna is saying, all right, Arjuna, I'll take the chariot. And so he took the chariot, and then Arjuna saw, he became bewildered. There were tears in his eyes, body was shaking, his gandiva was slipping, and all that was happening. And then he asked Krishna, Arjuna asked Krishna, what is it I should do? And Krishna began to speak. So he spoke 2nd chapter. He spoke the 3rd chapter. After speaking all that, he spoke in the 2nd and 3rd chapter. Now comes the 4th chapter. Now in the 4th chapter, he begins to say, Krishna begins to say, what I have spoken to you, Arjuna, long ago I spoke to Vivasvan. Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavanaham Avyayam. Vivasvan Manave Praha Manurikshvaka Pravid. I spoke long. I'm speaking to you, Arjuna. But long ago I spoke this to Vivasvan. And Vivasvan spoke to Manu. Manu spoke to Ikshvaku. Evam parampara praptam. In this way this knowledge is passed on. Rajarshayo viduhu. All the saintly kings understood this way. Sakala neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. But in due course of time, it was lost. And so, sayevayam mayatedya yoga prokta puratana. Hence I am speaking to you today, the very same knowledge. When Krishna spoke all this, Arjuna got a doubt. Aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha. Bhavataha janma aparam. Your birth is aparam. You are junior. Param brahma param janma vivasvataha. Vivasvan's birth is, he is much senior to you. Katam etad vijaniyam tvamadau proktavaniti. How do I understand? You spoke this knowledge. Katam etad vijaniyam tvam adau proktavaniti. You spoke in the beginning. So he's speaking like a cousin. You're my cousin. I chose you. We thought we should be with us. You are very dear to us in the army, in the fight. You be with us. And then you said you won't fight. All right. You agreed to become my charioteer. But now I had a doubt, and then you spoke all these. Suddenly you are saying, I spoke all this long ago to Vivaswan. You see? It's like saying, suppose I tell all of you, last week I had been to Delhi, and in Delhi I had a very important meeting. It was really an important meeting. And in that meeting, Mahatma Gandhi was there. Next to him, Jawaharlal Nehru was sitting. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And to both of them, I spoke and I told them about our temple in Hare Krishna Hill and Vaikunta Hill. I told them. Then naturally, you will all ask the same question, no? You see? So Arjuna asked a very realistic question. Param janma vivasvataha, aparam bhavato janma. You will ask me the same question. Bhavataha janma aparam. You are so junior when compared to Gandhiji and Jawaharlal Nehru. Katam etad vijayaniyam tvam adav proktavani. How can I understand? You spoke to Gandhiji and Jawaharlal Nehru. You see, very real question. So, Krishna's answer is, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam vetta parantapa. You and I have had many, many births. Bahuni me janmani vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna. You and I have had many births. Tanyaham veda sarvani. Aham tani sarvani veda. I know all of them. Natvam vetta parantapa. Tvam na vetta. You don't remember them. You may be a parantapa. You may be a great warrior. Natvam vetta. But you cannot understand. You don't remember. Immediately and importantly, Krishna is saying who he is, who Arjuna is. What is the position of the Lord? What is the position of the living entity? Even if the living entity rises to a very high level, he becomes a parantapa. He cannot understand. He does not remember all his previous births because his position is Anu. He's small, Bhagavat Amsha, whereas Bhagavan, he remembers everything. You see, right here onwards, it begins. Krishna begins to tell about his true position. And this goes on and on and on. Especially, it rises, it becomes more in the 7th chapter. Knowledge of the Supreme. Who is Krishna? Now Arjuna is hearing all this. And it goes on up to 10th chapter. And then in the 10th chapter, Krishna says, Arjuna, after Krishna has spoken, those 4 very important verses of the Gita. Now Arjuna says, Arjuna, Krishna, I accept everything that you say as the truth. Sarvam etad rutam manye yanmam vadasi Keshava. Sarvam etad rutham manye. Yanmam vadasi Keshava. Keshava mam vadasi. Whatever you have spoken, sarvam rutham manye. I will accept it as the truth. And Prabhupada says, Acharyas point out, this is the way a devotee, a reader has to approach Bhagavad Gita, accepting every word of Krishna as the truth. See, these are all very important nuances. Now, people read Bhagavad Gita, people comment on Bhagavad Gita, and they start interpreting this way, that way. Because they are not accepting Krishna's words. See, this is what Srila Prabhupada laments, that how people talk on the Bhagavad Gita without accepting Arjuna's, following in the footsteps of Arjuna, how he accepted the Bhagavad Gita and how he accepted the words of Krishna. Sarvam etad rutham manye. Recently, one popular author in our country, he wrote a Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita as I think. You see, why are we interested in Bhagavad Gita? We want to know how Krishna thinks and how Krishna has spoken. What is his message? We are interested. He is not worried about that. As I think. At least one thing is good about him. He is honestly saying, you can read this Gita, you will not know what Krishna has said, you will be hearing what I am going to say. Sometimes people even hide that. And they say what they want to say, as if Krishna is saying it. So these are all, very frivolous, not so serious pursuit and trying to read. You see, they are searching, but they are not really serious. There is one interesting conversation with Prabhupada also. Who are these theosophists? Who are the theology scholars? And so the theology scholars, they say, we are searching God. So if you are really searching, and if from our Vedic literatures, and it is presented, here is God, you must grab it, no? Because you are searching. If you are really searching, you must grab it when you find it. I'll give you one incident that happened in my personal life when I was a child. My father used to get a salary, and he would put it in a brown envelope. I remember seeing that, and that would be kept in the cupboard. We were not so very rich. That salary was very important, month after month. Once it so happened, that brown packet, which was very important, at different times we wanted something, I would see my mother going and opening the cupboard, open the brown envelope, and then give some money. So that brown envelope went missing. I think it was probably early part of the month only. So most of the money was in the envelope, and it went missing. Whole family, we were all panic, we were panic stricken. And my mother, she was a pious woman, she was constantly praying to God. And she was searching in the house, everywhere. And after 2-3 days, she found the packet somewhere. And she immediately picked it up, announced, "Oh, God has saved us." You see, if you are really searching and if you are really serious, when you find it, you will pick it up. She did not say, no, we should continue searching. It's okay, let it be there. We will continue. We have to search. We have to keep searching. If you are really sincere, if you are really serious about searching, and when you find it, you will grab it. You will not say, no, I like to continue. A whole life I want to be searching. See, they are not really serious about all this. That's why how seriously we should read Bhagavad Gita. That's why Prabhupada says, if we are serious about spiritual life, we will take these instructions very seriously. So, this is how Krishna presents, and he begins to say, this is what I am. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani aham tani sarvam veda natvam veta tvam na veta. You will not remember. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atma mayaya. Ajaha, I am Aja, unborn. But you all observe, no, Janmashtami, about my birth. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swam adhisthaya, situated in my transcendental position, sambhavami atma mayaya, I appear. I am unborn, but I appear, I take birth. So you must understand. After saying all that, in that context, Krishna is saying, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. You see the context? We should appreciate when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, when we read the Bhagavad Gita, the context. The context in which Krishna is saying, Janma karma cha me divyam. Because Krishna is interested to tell the world, tell humanity. Although he is speaking to Arjuna, he wants to proclaim this. You should know about my birth, about my activities. They are divyam, they are transcendental, they are not mundane. So much so, they are so transcendental. If you understand the truth about me, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. Tattvataha veti, one who knows this in truth. Tyaktvaja deham punarjanma naiti. If you give up, when you give up this body, if you know the truth about me, when you give up this body, punarjanma naiti, you will not take birth again. Mameti, you will attain me. You will come to me. See how our acharyas and how Srila Prabhupada present these things so carefully. See, in our organization, even bhaktas, even young devotees, young children who have been hearing this, even they will say, Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is the Supreme. So quickly we understand this, how much Srila Prabhupada has taught these things. So, this is the important thing about Rishabhadeva also. He is Akhila Lokapala Lalamaha, and he Jadavat, he did all this because, and Avilakshita Bhagavat Prabhavaha, he hid his true transcendental powers of the Lord. Yoginam Samparaya Vidhim Anushikshayan. This is another important thing. We usually come into this world and then we are the object of love and affection of all the family members, and then we grow up. The whole perspective of modern life, the whole perspective of a materialistic life, which is what the modern life is, how you can do well in life and have good job, good money, good family, good property. This is the whole perspective. In the Vedic perspective, in the Vedic thinking, you have come into this world. How you will become spiritually advanced so that you can leave this world rightly. It's all about preparation for leaving this world. Not to make a successful living in this, because anyway you cannot become successful. Even if you become successful, you cannot live in this world forever. You see, the whole perspective of a spiritualist and the perspective of a materialist is like day and night. What is night for us, it is day for them. What is day for them, it is night for us. Our whole point is that one day we have to leave this body. Will I live in the right way, in the right manner, with the right consciousness, with the right understanding? And the materialistic perspective is, just don't forget, don't talk about it. These are all inauspicious things. You're talking about death and such things. Don't even talk about such things. You see? The materialistic perspective and the spiritualist perspective. So we have come into this world, we are going to leave one day. That's definite. How do we live in a qualified, in an appropriate way? Now, immediately Srila Prabhupada contrasts. The animals don't think that way. Animals don't have the ability to think that one day I'm going to die. The dog will not think, a cat will not think, one day I'm going to die. Let me prepare myself properly. It has no ability to think about the imminent death. Whereas we have that ability. When we see death around us, oh. You see, recently there was big flood in Telangana, right? In Hyderabad. There's one story, it came up in a real story. Story meaning a real happening. There was this young girl. She was only 26 years old. She was a PhD in agricultural science. You see, at 26, she came from a very humble beginning, from a village. And the village was thrilled. The daughter of our village. She went to Delhi, she did her master's, and she did her PhD. And she came back. And she got a good job. You see, they were very happy. So, she was working somewhere else, and she had come to Hyderabad because her brother's marriage and the engagement and all that happened. All the family was there in the village, everyone was happy. And then the next, she had to go back to that another town, another city. She had to take the flight. Her father was driving her in the car. Now they have become that well-to-do. Or maybe they were well-to-do to that extent. So they were driving and it started raining heavily. And they were still, because flight. They were getting late for the flight. So the father kept driving and she was sitting and she was anxious. They were driving and the roads were flooded with water. And they came to one bridge. The river was flowing under, but it was flooded. The river had come up to the bridge level. And they were driving over the bridge. They thought, somehow we just crossed the bridge. We will make it. And while this is all going on, she's calling and telling her brother on the phone. And when the car reached the bridge, the water came so much, the car could not move and the water was rising up. She called the brother. Now the water has come up to the neck level. They can't get off the car. Well, you get off where? Everywhere there's water, you will be just swept away. Just see. And then she made that call, and the brother was saying, no, don't worry, things will become all right. Well, whatever he said. And then after a few minutes, again he called. Cannot answer. No answer. The phone is not ringing or whatever, is not able to. Called his father, no answer. And then they called the police station and they said, no, that we saw so many cars being away. And the search, rescue operations were going on. And by the end of the day, they found her body and the father's body. Just see how death comes. She did not think, the previous day she did not think she was going to die. That day she did not think she was going to die. When she got onto the car and she and the father, they were thinking they'll get onto the flight. This material world is like that. The living entities don't understand this. That's why Shastras remind us, samsara dava nalalida loka. This is not some exaggeration. The Shastras are exaggerating things so that we are a little, we don't go around enjoying the world too much. It is the fact. This is not fairy tale. Samsara dava is not fairy tale. It's real. And the whole Vedic literature is, how do we prepare ourselves? Samparaya vidhim anushikshayan. Lord comes to teach us how we can successfully cross over. So these are all very serious things. And so, I should be conscious of time. We are already crossed the time. So, I'll just wind up in less than 5 minutes. So, important thing is to prepare internally. And that's why Prabhupada is saying here, we should know this. Prabhupada is using, usually talks about constitutional position of the living entity. Right? Here, Prabhupada is talking about constitutional position of the Lord and the constitutional position of the living entity. We must know both. That's what Krishna was teaching Arjuna. Arjuna, you must know my constitution position. Tanyaham Veda Sarvani. You should know your constitutional position. Natvam Veda Parantapa. We should know Krishna's constitutional position. We should know our constitutional position. And not only we should know, we should be situated in that knowledge firmly. That we are an amsha of Krishna. And as an amsha, we must be serving Krishna. And we should be situated in that position of rendering service to the Lord. And in that, when you are situated in that, you are actually liberated. That's the position. I wanted to read these 2 verses. I'll just read quickly. Later on you can read. In Krishna also, in the 5th chapter, he's talking about preparing to pass away, preparing to die. Many places it's there. But in this particular verse, about 5th chapter, 23rd verse. Shaknoti haiva yasodum prak sharira vimokshanat. Sharira vimokshanat. Sharira vimoksha, we have to give up one day. Prag sharira vimokshanat. Before we give up, what we should do? Shaknoti haiva yasodhum. One who is able to tolerate. What? Kama krodhodbhavam vegam. You see? Kama krodha udbhavam vegam. The body has certain forces of kama, forces of krodha, and one who is able to sodhum, one who is able to tolerate. Don't yield to it, but tolerate it. Don't accept it, don't embrace it, don't act on it, but tolerate and let it pass. Sayuktaha, he is rightly situated. Sasukhi naraha, he'll also become a happy man. And the next verse after this, Yonthas sukha antararamaha antarjyotihi eva yaha. In the next verse, Krishna is saying how the internal should be, how our internal should be. Anthas sukha, one should be happy internally. Antararamaha, one should be active within. Antararamaha, happily active within. Antarjyotihi, enlightened within. Sa yogi brahma nirvanam, brahma bhuta adhigacchati. Brahma nirvanam, nirvanam means liberation. Liberation in the spiritual situation. Liberated in the supreme. Brahma nirvanam, brahma bhuta adhigacchati. One will attain the supreme. So, the same message here, Rishabhadeva, situated internally as the Supreme Lord. Atmani atmana asamvyavahitam anartha antara bhavena anvikshamanaha, always seeing himself as a spiritual being, because he was the Supreme Lord. But in our case, as Krishna has said, as a servant of the Lord. That's Prabhupada is saying. This is possible simply by keeping oneself an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. One must understand his constitutional position and the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord as well. Both have the same spiritual identity. Maintaining oneself as a servant of the Supreme Lord, one should avoid rebirth in this material world. If one keeps himself spiritually fit in this way, and thinks of himself as an eternal servant of the Supreme, he'll be successful at the time he has to give up the material body. See how nicely Prabhupada is summarizing this, capturing these things in the purport. How we should prepare ourselves to leave this world. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.